Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery podcast, the place for scrappy female entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for listening. And if you're a regular, thank you too. And a big thank you to everyone who has left me a review. I so appreciate it. I was thinking about sharing them on the podcast once I bank a few more, but I'm not sure if you want to hear those. I mean, you can just go read them yourself, and your time is precious. If you like hearing that stuff on podcasts, come on over to Instagram and let me know. And if you don't want to hear them, tell me that too. Okay, today's episode. This is a continuation of the simple 4-step e-commerce funnel that we started last week. So to recap, the 4 steps are awareness, interest, purchase, and repeat. So if you haven't listened to episode 12, where we talk all about step 1, awareness, go back and listen to that one first, because these are going to build on one another. And the episode's only 20 minutes, so it's an easy listen. When we talked about creating content for the awareness stage, I mentioned you'll want to always include some type of call to action. So whether that's to sign up for your email list, leave a comment on a social post, or even send you a DM. Once that potential customer takes that step, they take that action, they've now entered the interest stage of the funnel. So what is the interest stage? At this point, they've likely realized that they have a problem that needs solving and are now considering your product as the solution. Before we go deeper into what to do with those customers once they're in the interest stage, I want to talk a little bit more on how to get them there, because we didn't cover this too much in the last episode. So in the awareness stage, we talked about answering your potential customers' questions and educating them on what they might be missing. And remember, these people, they don't even necessarily know they need your product yet. The content that you're creating for those in the awareness stage is all about educating them on their need for a product like yours. So let's build on the example of my business that we talked about. So when I started my business, I educated people on the value of email marketing for e-commerce. And I did this by sharing my own success story with email, talked about how I generate 20% of a 7-figure e-commerce revenue through email marketing. I shared statistics like the fact that email has an average ROI of 40 to 1. And I talked about how once I had my system in place, I made more revenue with email marketing and spent less time on it. So that was building the awareness. Once e-commerce entrepreneurs started understanding that email was valuable, now they needed to know how to do it. So I created a freebie for them. The top 10 email marketing mistakes and how to fix them. This was my attempt to move them from the awareness stage to the interest stage. Once they took the action of signing up for my freebie, that tells me they're interested in learning more about how to do email marketing. So at this point in the funnel, I'm educating them more on the power of email and giving them quick tips and tricks so they can see immediate results. Once they start implementing the strategies that I outline in that freebie and they see those quick wins, they start to wonder what else email can do and want to dive even deeper. Are you with me so far? Are you kind of seeing how you might be able to apply this to your business yet? I'm going to give you one more example from my biz, and then we'll go through some product examples. So if you've listened to at least a couple of my podcast episodes, you've heard that I often include freebies or content upgrades to support the episode. Last week had one. This week is going to have one too. eCommerceBadassery.com/13. And my highest converting freebie to date is my weekly reporting template. So I created a podcast talking about the number one reason you're not able to pay yourself from your business. Episode 7, if you're interested in listening. That episode built awareness around the fact that many e-commerce entrepreneurs are not paying close enough attention to their metrics. So once my listeners heard that and realized how important it was for them to keep track of their numbers, they took action, downloaded my freebie, moving into the interest stage of the funnel. Okay, let's talk product, because I know if you're listening, you're selling a product. Let's use an example of all natural cleaning products. And your ideal customer is a mother of young children. At the awareness stage, you might be talking about how to create a healthy environment at home for your kids. And at this point, you're still talking pretty generally. So you might mention things like child safety locks on windows, gates at stairs, locks on toilet seats so they don't bang their teeny little fingers, and avoiding toxins in the home. To get them from the awareness stage to the interest stage, you'll want to give them a call to action. And that's where your content upgrade comes in. So you've already mentioned avoiding toxins in the home. And one of the culprits of that are likely our traditional cleaning products. So here's where you can now start talking about your product as one of the solutions. So you could create a freebie or a content upgrade, something like the top 10 products to lead a more natural, healthy life. And of course, you include your products as one of the products in the content upgrade. Okay, so that example's a little bit easier to understand, right? Because it is a true problem that you're solving. If you're a boutique owner selling clothing and jewelry, it can be a bit harder to wrap your head around how to position this content. Believe me, I get it. I spent the majority of my years in fashion retail. I totally understand. But go back to your ideal customer and think about why they would buy your products. If your ideal customer is a busy mom, then you can take the angle of how to look put together while being comfortable enough to run after your toddler. If you sell workwear, on the other hand, maybe you want to talk about how to command more attention in meetings. So think about who she is. Why does she decide to buy specific styles, types of clothes, or jewelry over others? What does getting dressed and putting that outfit mean to her? How does it make her feel? How does she want to feel? And then speak to that. Something else you could do for your content upgrade is maybe you create a quiz to uncover their personal style. And then that ultimately leads them to the items in your assortment that would fit them best. And one really cool thing is if you're using Klaviyo, for example, you can create something like this in type form and integrate your answers into Klaviyo. So when a customer fills it out, it will record those results on the customer profile itself. Then you can later use that for segmentation and filtering. It's super fancy, super cool, really helpful. If you want to be simpler than that, you could do a wardrobe checklist and maybe you add in product recommendations that, of course, come from your own assortment. And ultimately, just remember that the goal of the content upgrade is to get them to start considering your product. Move them from the awareness stage to the interest stage. So now you've got them in the interest stage, and it's time to continue educating them and nudging them down the funnel to make a purchase. If they entered the interest stage by signing up for your email list, this is where it's really easy to start talking more about your product specifically, and you're going to be right in their email inbox. Introduce yourself, your company. Why should they buy from you? What makes your company and or product special? Email is a really great way to get more personal as well because you are in their inbox. It is a sacred space. You can personalize it with placeholders using their first name, things like that, showing them recommended products based on what you've learned about them throughout this process. For instance, let's say you have, 2 main articles that talk about some sort of awareness, right? 2 blog articles, and then you have 2 separate content upgrades. It's possible that the person who signs up for one content upgrade may be different than someone who signs up for the second one. So the content that you're sending them after that might be different. So take that all into consideration when you're sort of laying this out. And for the most part, we've really been talking about content upgrades through email, right? So moving from awareness to interest by signing up for email. But what if their CTA at this point has just been engaging with you on social? Well, then you want to go ahead and engage back with them. That's your next step. Whether it's replying to their comments or their DMs, or maybe you go over to their profile and engage with their content, like their photos and leave comments, etc. Nudging them down the funnel from social is gonna take a little bit longer. But remember that your goal there is always to get them on your email list because that's a platform you own. So if social media goes away tomorrow, you still have their email address, which is worth way more. I promise you that. At a minimum, if you can't get them to sign up right away, at least get them to go to your website so you can pixel them and retarget them with ads later. So having those relationships on social is great, but you need to get that relationship off of social as well. So how do you get them off social into your email list or onto your website? Be intentional. So when you're crafting content for social, make sure you're including calls to action for them to actually go and join your list. You can tout the freebie or content upgrade you created, tease them about new product launches or sales, and let them know if they want to be the first to know to sign up for your email list. And sometimes use the first time discount trick. So maybe you post on your stories, for example, that you are doing a limited time, sign up for my email list and we'll send you a welcome code, something like that. And speaking of discounts, let's talk a little bit more about them. When do you want to use a content upgrade versus a discount offer? When I'm talking about content upgrades, these are for the most part going to be included in your awareness content. The awareness content is ideal for SEO to build organic traffic. And if you're using Pinterest in your marketing mix, definitely promote this content on there as well because Pinterest is a search engine, my friends. Remember, these people who are reading this awareness content, they might not even know they need your product yet. So offering them a discount at this stage is not going to be valuable to them. The discount really comes in when they're in the interest stage, inching their way towards the purchase, which we're going to talk about in next week's episode. So if you think of those people who have already been following you on social media for a while, or those who have already figured out they need your product, that's where the discount will have the biggest impact. So the point is, if you have a discount offer on your pop-up, your welcome pop-up, keep it there. If someone comes direct to your site or clicks through from an ad, they are already further down the funnel. They're already in interest on their way to purchase. So the discount has a good chance of helping them convert at that stage. So when it comes to those people who have just transitioned from awareness to interest and you're creating a nurture series for them through email because they signed up for your content upgrade, you can and certainly should offer a discount somewhere in that funnel. A little bit later on, maybe the third or so email in. Because when someone is teetering on the edge and they're trying to figure out if they should or should not buy your product, a discount's a really good justifier for making that first purchase, right? Because it relieves some of the risk. And a free shipping and or free returns offer can work just as well. And that is actually, I remember reading Zappos, when Zappos first launched, I don't even know when it was, but their business was suffering big time and they really weren't doing well. Like people were not buying shoes online. And I guess they brought in a new CEO or something. Sorry, I don't remember enough of the details of this, but it's important. So they brought someone in and they were like, no one's buying shoes online. You have to offer free shipping and free returns because people are too hesitant to place that order and have it not fit and have to pay to ship it back, and shoes are heavy and all of that stuff. So they made that change and then their business started to take off because it removed the risk for the customer. So that's what the discount, what free shipping, free returns, that's what all of that is really for. So if you come at it from that lens, it should help you know when the right time to offer that is. So we talked about awareness last week, interest this week, how the two kind of tie together. So what are your next steps? First, start by downloading this week's freebie. It does have a recap of the funnel and the type of content you're going to want to create at this stage. And then start brainstorming what content upgrade you can create to support the awareness content. You want them to be closely tied together. So the progression of read blog post to sign up is very natural. So think of the content upgrade as the next step on their journey to whatever outcome it is that they're looking for. If you have questions about this or want feedback on your ideas for applying this to your business, come on over to the eCommerce Badassery Facebook group and let's chat about it. And check the show notes for all of today's important links. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking to surround yourself with more product entrepreneurs who totally get your life right now, get your booty on over to the eCommerce Badassery Facebook group. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, e-commerce friends, stay badass.